star. So now we're just using the text to kind of display the venue and the attendance, of course, which is part of the properties passing to the platform. So what this means is that once this venue is declared, the venue, of course, is Google Meet. We're using Google Meet for this Flutter Festival event. So our attendance last I checked was around 80. So once we declare this value, this class is not this when this widget is displayed, it's not going to change the life cycle of this app. And a classic illustration is the same thing I explained when I talked about the building the house and taking the block and saying block already. It's just going to remain real. Guys, this is how we need to go. We declared our venue, we declared our attendance. That is how it's going to be in the life cycle of the app. So this is basically how just a little overview of how it's created in Flutter. So moving on, now let's move to the second one, which we have the stateful widget. Now, the stateful widget is responsible for holding on to the immutable value and creating the state object. Now, what this simply means is that, remember that I said the stateless widget is immutable, and that immutability means that once that widget has been declared, it doesn't change. The same thing still applies to the stateful widget. But the caveat here is that the stateful widget also has what we call a state object. Now, the stateful widget on its own is also immutable. Now, both the stateless and the stateful widgets are both immutable. Now, one of the major differences is this state object that the stateful widget has. Now, this state object can have properties. For example, to put it quite simply, can have values. So it has properties, and those properties can change. Those properties are mutable. It has mutable values or mutable properties which can change over time during the life cycle of the app. So what this means is, a classical example can be let's use the building illustration I talked about. So let's say we have a way now we can change that. This block now we can change it. It's not just we're not kind of cementing it. It's kind of we are fixing. It's not like a Lego set where you can actually unplug one and fix another one. So let's say in that Lego set we're kind of probably just building a Lego car or something. So and let's say for the lights or for the tires rather we use a blue tire. So at some point we change our mind. We say no, we want to use a red tire. So what this state object helps us to do is having this state object which has a mutable properties. What it helps us to do is that we can unplug that blue tire and kind of fix the red tire. And what it does is that it causes the build method, which I showed you guys when I talked about the state where we are the build method which allows us to come about when we get to the class. So it causes a build. It kind of triggers the build method to kind of render that widget. Now, what happens is that once that trigger happens, it's going to check what the value was previously and what the new value is, and kind of rebuild that widget with the new values. That is how you now see that that Lego tire has changed from blue to red. So this is just a code overview of what the stateful widget looks like. So now, if you notice now, we have a first block where we have the class of Flutter Festival extends stateful widget. So of course we have the first block which ends in that override. We will have our override method with the state and have to create state. It creates the Flutter state class. So let's start from the first arrow which I marked as number 1. So what's the difference? One of the difference between a stateful and a stateless is that this like I said earlier, that the stateful has what a state object. Now, what happens here is that once this widget is created and Flutter recognizes this as a stateful widget, so it's going to call a method. It's going to call another method called createState. Now, this createState creates a state object. Now, this state object, like we have on line 3, is now what now has different properties that can change, that the value can change during the life cycle of our app. Now, the state object now has been binded to the stateful widget, so it has access to both the immutable properties. Remember, I said that the stateful widget and the stateless widget are both immutable. It has access to the immutable properties. And the immutable properties we have now is the venue. So the venue, once the venue has been declared, as we pass it into our class constructor, once it has been declared, that value is not going to change during the life cycle of this app. But the attendance, that attendance will declare on that I marked with the arrow tree. If you notice, and one of the classical ways you can know whether a value is immutable or not is that in our class constructor, we declare the venue as final, which means it is final. We declare that's what it's going to be. But on the arrow that on the point I marked tree on the arrow, we don't have it as final, which means it's mutable. It can change. So the method that is typically exposes to us again is the set state. So what in here, what we're just doing is that once a button is clicked, we're increasing the attendance by one. So that's what we are doing on the part of the arrow that was marked for. So what we're doing is that once we click on that button, we're going to say increase the attendance by one. So once the attendance has been increased by one, what happens is that this set state now triggers a review of this component. So now it's going to, of course, still take the same immutable value of the venue, which is the stateful widget has in this constructor. So we're going to take that value. Nothing is going to change here, but what is going to change is that the attendance count is going to go from 0 and it's going to go up to 1. So we're going to have the rebuild. The rebuild method of this class is going to be triggered. So it's going to rebuild this entire widget with the new value. So attendance now no longer be 0, but 1. So that is just how the stateful widget works. So let's move on. So like I explained, the set state provide a way to set properties on the state of the and trigger updates to the UI. So just like we had in that code sample, that once that button is clicked and is telling that immutable value that is contained within the state object, it's telling it to increase the value by 1. So what is going to happen now? Once the value has been increased, it's going to notify the flutter that this is the value. There's a object property value that has changed in this class. We need to review this class so that we can render the updated UI to the user. So that is what the test state helps you to do. So all right. So just a quick recap of what we talked about. So we are saying that basically what we're saying is that the difference between a stateless and a stateful widget. Stateless widgets are static. You remember going back to the illustration where I talked about having a wall, it's a red block. Once you declare that, it's going to remain like that's what is going to happen. It's static, it doesn't change. We are not updating any property, we don't need to update any property, we're just displaying something to the user. A classical example for those that are coming from the web that are web developers of writing from tool. That we have a concept we call static websites. The static websites are just like nothing changes. The information is just there. You don't click on the button or do anything of this. It's just static. So that is just for those that have a knowledge of that. That is just what the stateless widget is. It is static. It doesn't change. Once it has been declared, it's going to remain like that during the life cycle of the app. The stateful widgets are dynamic. So dynamic in the sense that remember we had an attempt that was set at 0, but we have a way that we click the button, which will increase the attendance count by 1, and of course notify the class that it needs to do. So the build method that we run, and we're going to get the updated version of we're going to get the updated value displayed on the UI. So the stateful widgets are dynamic. It's interactive. Understand? So and stateless widgets do not have state. Remember, I said that the stateful widget has a state object, which can help us to the state object. We have mutable properties, which of course can change in the life cycle of the app and can cause the app to kind of rebuild, to kind of display that new state change. So basically, those are just the two major difference between the two. So now with all this, you now have an idea that when you need something to update in the UI, let's say you want to click a button and the button changes the color to red, you now know that that is a dynamic interaction. That is an interaction that from the user that needs to update something on the UI. In such scenarios, you need to use a stateful widget. And the scenario I used while explaining is Google Meet. Now, if you notice, anytime someone new comes into the joins call, the count on the amount of users in the call will increase by one. So I want you to kind of visualize that when you're trying to achieve that on Flutter, you need a statement so that when there's an update of the count, you have a way kind of cause a review of the widget and display that updated value to the user. But in a situation where you just have, let's say, the Google Meets, let's say we have just a title there that don't change once we come into Google Meets. That's what the title is going to be. So in such scenarios, all you just need is a stateless variable. That is just that information is going to be static. Classical examples are usually text. Most text, we don't update them, we don't dictate them. Those once we declare, that's how it's going to be. So in such scenarios, you can compose your widgets using a stateless widget. So that is it from me. Thank you all for listening. If anyone has any question, please go ahead and ask.
Awesome stuff as always. Earlier on I mentioned that there are some experts on Flutter on this call, and I think Ellis is one of them. Okay, I don't know. Do you have any question, any confusion, or something you want to need clarity on? Hello, anyone? Okay, so I guess we have to move on to the next talk. If maybe halfway or before the session ends, you come up with a question, or you remember that there's this question you have, please kindly drop it in the chat, and Alice would go ahead to answer that. Okay, so with that, we'll be going on to the next topic we have on our agenda, which is desktop development with Flutter by FTP. So just when Elise was giving his talk, Chisholm joined the call, and it was actually kind of a miscommunication on our end. I guess he couldn't join earlier because of that, and I thank God that has been clarified and he's on the call now. So Chisholm, it's actually time for you to give us what you have for us. And we are so sorry for the whole miscommunication and all. Thanks for joining.
Hello, good afternoon. So I'm speaking about desktop development with Flutter. So there are sometimes maybe there are people that they don't really have like a good laptop. Like when I was using English that was very difficult and not even emulator, Android emulator. It's like an alternative, but maybe if you're working on just the UI like app that just makes the request an API and you don't have any Android and the laptop can't even run an Android
Sorry for cutting you short. I don't know if it's just from my own end, but I think your audio has some echo with it or something. Or is it just my own end? Hello, can we hear something clearly?
Yes, I hear it. I can't hear him clearly. The voice is probably come out now.
Yeah.
The voice is
Better now. It's one inside again. I think it's just coming out. I think it's just coming and going, like it's a bit slow now. I don't know.
I am clearly now.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about desktop development better. So, why what motivated me about this learning next level, about learning next level was at that when I started learning, my laptop was not strong enough to work for 100 people. So anytime I run Windows, it's literally loses the whole RAM and everything like that. So I did some research and I found out that for that desktop I run Windows are macOS. So basically, if you're working on an app that is just probably UI, though sometimes the dimension is working on an app like this, I will meeting an API calls, just having an API can run app Windows to testing for app for laptop is so that's why I learned it. That would be and kind
Yeah, you broke off a bit there.
Hi, Chisa. Hello. Okay, I guess he's facing some network challenges. Okay, so I guess why we wait for Chisom to rectify his network challenges, network issues, I guess we would need to go over to our next talk for today, and that would be on building packages for Flutter by Igor L. Sambo. So, okay, I would have tried doing some attempts at introducing Igor, but I guess it would be better he does that himself. So, hello, Igor.
yes, I can hear. So I will be starting now. I will be right. So I don't know if you can hear.
There is I think, some challenges with your audio or something. else can you provide for explanation? Hello guys, what about now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Great, thank you. So I was asking if it's okay if I start sharing the screen now. Yeah, sure. Well, before that, I don't know. I think he's on joined back again. I don't know if he has rectified his um, audio. Sorry, I couldn't hear right. Okay, I said Chisom just joined back again. So I'm trying to know if it would have been better he continue or hello Chisom, do you have your network fixed? Don't worry, just okay. I am right now. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that, Ego. We would have to, since Chisom has already joined back, once he's done, then I guess you would have to continue again. Okay. So can you guys see my screen?
Not
Sure.
yet.
Can you see my screen now? Yeah.
Hello?
Okay. So this is the Flutter official documentation on how to enable and set up desktop development for any of the operating system, Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. So for like requirements now, so for a Windows laptop, you are required to download Virtual Studio, the purple one, the C++ one. So like when you download the Virtual Studio, you also install C++ desktop development. You install the workload and everything should be about two gig. Yes. You also install it because it's necessary for you to be able to run a Windows app. That's C++ desktop development must be installed on your machine. So for also macOS, you have to have an Xcode. You have to make sure Xcode is installed on your system. Also, Google Code for DNS, the plug is installed on your system. Then for Linux, CMake, and these are necessary too. But I think for Linux, it installs automatically on it, so you don't need to. Okay, this on Linux, this is good to install these necessary things. This all do get installed. Then you have to install the requirements. So if probably you have a project that doesn't and is not enabled it for Windows development, this you can enable it through Flutter config. That's enable Mac OS, Mac OS desktop or whatever. It is Windows, full Windows, this is Windows, whatever OS you want to enable desktop development. So then once you're done with that, you can run your Flutter app on desktop. You can run your Flutter app on desktop. So if you want to check if everything is set up for desktop development, everything is set up properly for desktop development, you can type Flutter Doctor. So it shows you what is not installed or not. Then you can also build a list. If you have an existing project and you want to add desktop development to it, you first of all enable it. So when you enable it, you run Flutter create. Flutter create. So when you run Flutter create, it creates the files that the Windows files or Mac OS or Linux files are missing or that are not currently on that project of the file.
So you have to run Flutter create. Then you could also build a release. If you probably you're working on a desktop app, you want to have an app that has desktop and you want to build the release. You could build the release for Windows. And the good thing is that the new Flutter that the latest Flutter that came out 2.10.0 now builds the exe file for you too. So I think this is all I wanted to talk about. So can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it's necessary for me to show like a demo like app or something, or we understand. I don't.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't know if anybody has a question or need me to show like an example for my system here. I don't know I have any question or something going on.
Oh, yeah, I have a question though. So, why setting this up on the for Windows? You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
So, why setting Flutter for desktop on Windows platform? Okay, really, when I was developing desktop application, I normally use Java for it. So, like the last time I tried to set it up on Flutter, my Windows system. So, there are some requirements I think that I lack on my system, even though I also use Java to develop that quite easily. So it was like telling me I require some Microsoft VP, something like that. So I don't know if you actually covered that because I don't know because those are some parts of the setup or some requirements that the users need to have installed on their system. Just like when you are developing with desktop, you need to install. You need to install the JDK you need for it to apart from the documentation, the plot like this, I don't know if there are some. I think when you are developing, I think you create.
I am you're breaking a little bit.
You can be able to share that.
Okay. I mentioned something like okay. First of all, that one was Java. Like you know the way Flutter works. Flutter interacts with like if your Android, Flutter has an Android folder for like a native Android folder. Flutter also has like a native iOS and all these things. In the same way the desktop works also. So you don't need because it's kind of Flutter interacts with C++. You know the way it interacts with Java and to make it easy to run on that. So you're interacting with C++. And the only thing that the only external thing
I wish you were there. As a matter of fact, most of
the only thing that you have to install for Windows now, see for Windows requirements, what you have to install is this Virtual Studio. You have to download it. You have to download it. You download it from their site, and when you download it, you install they'll show you like when you install it because I'm not using a Windows laptop now. I will show you. When you install it, they'll show you like a list of things to install, like a list of additional plugins or packages or how like or SDKs or anything to install. So what you select to install is desktop development C++ workflow. That's what you're only going to install. And when you install that together with the virtual studio, you just enable it in the Flutter project and it runs like that. All you need is this virtual studio and C++ workflow. There's nothing else again.
Hello, I
Okay,
can
okay.
you hear me?
Yeah, good. Yeah. I know.
Okay. Hello, Chisom. Thanks for the presentation. I don't know. Do you have like any demo or anything that you built on like with Flutter via desktop version of it, like on your system? If you have, you can easily show us, please, because I would like to see it as well.
Okay, okay. First of all, like the ones I had, like I built like something like a Photoshop clone, but it means something like so you can just edit
Yeah,
pictures.
anything at all. Because I've not really seen a desktop version of code before. That's what I'm asking.
Okay. But it's not here. Like it's not on my system currently. But I'm going to do the demo app on my system now. But it's just going to be like a normal regular counter app. But it's be on the desktop side. I'll build it right now. So
Okay.
okay, let me do that. Can you see my Android studio open? Hello?
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. Okay. So okay. As you can see on my project, can you see my screen? You can see I have a macOS folder because my Flutter is able to work with the desktop. So if you're using a Windows laptop too, you see a Windows folder. If you're using a Linux, you see a Linux folder here. So right here, if you have everything installed and enabled, if you have installed the necessary things, you come to this where you see your devices, you see a macOS desktop. You select it, click on run. And it's fun because developing on desktop, there you can put as and nowadays like there are so many plugins, even file pickers for picking file. If you want to go and have that fixed image or something, just that on Windows the Firebase has not. I don't think Firebase hasn't don't have a dependency. Their dependency is not supported on Windows yet, but it's supported on Mac OS not supported, or I think they are still working on adding it to Windows. Hello, can you see my screen? Hello?
Yeah.
So see like a demo of the desktop app, and the good thing is that unlike web, it has auto load. Because web you always imagine you're building a multi something app, it always has to start from the beginning. It's like it's more good if you're working with the Flutter web, you can use it because it has you can use it to be reviewing your app because it has auto load on it. So this is like a demo of desktop app. This is how it is like, and you can print it, make it responsive how you want it. Hello?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Chisholm. That's cool. That's cool. Thanks. I don't know if you guys have any questions for him.
Um, I'm just thinking, like, I saw like a bit of the code snippet, and I was thinking maybe do you want to kind of would I say give us an overview of how the syntax and all comes together to give us what we have on that counter, at least before we get on to the next talk. Yeah.
It's just there is no special. It works with the same code you use on your app, so there's no special. I didn't code anything. This is just like the normal project that comes with together with Flutter, where you have your my app, run my app, your material app, then the demo normal counter code that comes with your for incrementing this for this increment button. Please, I didn't do anything special. I didn't write any Swift code or any macro specific thing. All you have to do is just install what is required. And
Yeah, I
once you
know.
install what is
I think there are some beginners on the call and people that want to kind of look into Flutter development, right? There are some things to kind of get them started.
okay, I'll do that now. So let me, so first of all, in Flutter, this is the main. This is where you you run my app. So my app is like a class. It's a stateless widget. Is they use stateless because it's not necessarily to use stateful here because you're not setting, you're not change, nothing is changing during runtime here. You're just returning your home page. So this is the main. So inside this main, you have run my app. Then my app is a class. So in Flutter, like your app is going to be the first thing you have in Flutter, the first widget for your app is this material app. The material app is where that is contains everything about the app. So it's where you can set the theme of your app. If you want all your text to have, maybe you want them to be blue by default, you can set this from the theme. Then the title of your app. This title you don't really see it on you don't really see it when you're developing on mobile or you see this title on Flutter on Flutter web. When you're on the web, you see this Flutter thing, but you don't really see it yet. So then this is your home. The material app has a home. So the home is the first page that will show when your app starts. So the first page and the first page that shows when your app starts is my home page, and that's this page. This is my home page. This is the home page. So it's also a stateful widget, and it is stateful widget because this button has is going to be increased, and they decided to use stateful because the other solutions to manage your state, they have provider, blog, getlex, and the rest of them. So, but for beginners, it's usually preferable you just go to set state because you have to master it. Then, so this class now is taking has the constructor of a string title. That's this title here, Flutter demo homepage. So so the stateful widget has a widget build method and and it returns a scaffold. So a scaffold is basically like it carries all the widgets of that page, something like that. So the scaffold has like an app bar, and that's this app bar. And the app bar takes a title. The title can be any widget. Can use text if you want, can use a row or anything. So the title it takes an app bar. The app bar has the title, and that's the Flutter homepage. Then this is the body. So they use center. They use center because they wanted to center the whole detail the whole widget on the screen. So they use center. Also, there's another way around this. They're using center. They can come here and do main alignment on center, but they use this. Then, so okay, they also did that too. Just both of them. So then, the text. So text is just like text. the text is the widget that shows whatever you write on it. The string is that you write on it. So text, then you write the string on it, then you cover it with when you cover it with text two brackets, then inside the brackets you write the whatever you the text or string you want to be on it. You can also change the style. If you want to change the color, there's a property called style and mix text style. Then you can change the color. Let's say I want the color to be blue. I change the color to blue. There's flutter you can there's something called hot reload. So hot reload, like as I've made this change now and I want to see the change I've made. Let me see how it looks like. I just click on the hot reload. Yes. Sometimes it's like I think Flutter now it's hot reloads after some time. So if I click on the hot reload, you see the change. Text is now blue. So from here, you can also increase the size of the text. I want the font size to be 20 or whatever I want to be. You can increase the size, get bigger or whatever you want to do with it. Then this is another text again. So the text takes the counter. So the counter is a variable that was set here. So at it was set to zero at the beginning. Then there's a function at the method that increments the counter by one. So anytime you call this function, it does counter plus plus. So it increments it by one anytime this function is called. So that's this counter they put here. Then they use this dollar sign to add it because it's an integer. So if you want to add like an int to a string, you put the dollar sign, then you write the name of the int or integer or whatever it is. Then this caput also takes a floating action button, and this is this floating action button. Yeah. So like WhatsApp now, there's a place you have a chat. So in your WhatsApp, you have this, something like this too, where that chat is. It's also a floating action button. So on this floating action button, it has what they call unpressed. Unpressed is what you want to happen whenever the button is clicked. It has two fields. So two fields is like when you press it, it is writing increment because it sets the two field to increment. So it's just like it tells you the details of the detail or what this widget is. You can set it to anything. I can change it to increment button or to load. Then click on it, start increment button. So whatever details you want to display, you give it. Then it's the button also takes a child. So in Flutter is like a widget tree. So some widget has child, some widget has child. So like the button has a child, the container also has a child. There's a widget called container, it also takes a child. So this floating action button to take a child. So a child is basically like another widget. It's taking another widget. So a text is a widget. All these texts are widgets. This floating action button is a widget. It's taking another child. Another child is also a widget. So the widget you decided to use there was an icon widget. So they used an icon widget. And why they use this const here? Because they don't want whenever set state to affect. So whenever set state is called, they don't want this icon to be built. That's why. So if you don't want a widget to be built whenever it calls set state, just add const to the back of it. That's why they didn't add const to this counter because they want this counter to be built. That's why. So it's good to add const in order to minimize or optimize your app to be faster because you don't want a situation where your app has to rebuild every widget because there are some widgets that you don't necessarily need it to rebuild. So that's why they use const. Some places you see const just because you don't want it to rebuild. That's why you're seeing const in some places. So and that's why they use const icon. So the icon widget takes an icon. So Flutter has given us some icons. So you can see different icons there, email, check, height. So they decided to use add. So on the unpressed of this floating action button, they call this increment counter. So this increment counter method, and what the method does, like I said before, it's set state and increase the this counter value, this integer counter value by one every time it clicks. So every time you click on this button, the value increases by one. It keeps increasing, continue clicking, keeps increasing. and also increasing. So there are also various widgets too, because this is just their demo app. There are various widgets that they have. That if you go to the Flutter documentation, you see and also learn about it. But this is just their demo to help you get started in Flutter or to understand what it looks like. So I don't know if anyone has a question for me. This is the what I was doing.
Yeah, thank you so far. I noticed. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, I noticed you're using underscore for defining, like before defining your variable, your functions, and everything, and class too. Like, is there a naming convention, or you just choose to do it that way on Flutter?
This code wasn't written by me. So whenever you start a new Flutter project, it gives you this code. So yeah, most this naming stuff, this underscore here means it's like no other class can access it. So in like Java now, you have a function called private for people that write Java. Private means only that class can access it. This is what this underscore also means in that. So if you don't want any other class to access this counter, so to be able to change it or to be able to do anything, to be able to change the counter or do anything with the counter, you just add this underscore to it. So that's what the underscore is for. It's not like you can decide you want it to be called counter if you want. Or if you don't want another class access, then you add the underscore. It's just like how private is in Java. But this is how private works in that. So I don't know if you understand my solution.
Yeah, I do. Thank
Anybody, any other question?
All right, great. Thanks a lot. Um, yeah, it was a really nice, exciting session. So I don't know. There's no question. We'd have to move on to the next call. So I don't know if someone is on this call. Okay, I don't think so. So Igor, sorry for the interruption earlier. I really wanted Izon to kind of do his own talk before yours. So because I believe that would give us more insight into what Flutter is before we then get to your talk. So with that, I guess you have to continue your introduction and then your talk.
Sorry, Gus, I didn't understand quite well. We wait for someone else, or it's me now?
No, it's you now. It's you now. Someone is not on the call, so we just have to go ahead.
All right, so I will be sharing my screen right now. And also, I would like to ask to uh, the streamer to remove the right right banner of users because some people are not seeing quite well the presentation on the YouTube.
Okay, all right, that would be fixed.
I assume everyone have access to my screen right now.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So once again, good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to talk about building packages for Flutter. We had some really interesting talks today, and as Gospel said, I really think those were really insightful for what we're going to talk now. But before going through the talk, I would like to present myself a bit. So my name is Igor El Sambo. My handle for Twitter is at elsambo02. It's the same handle that I use in Medium, where I post my blog posts. And also, I work as a mobile software engineer. And I consider myself Flutter passionate because since 2018, which is the year I started learning about Flutter, I have never stopped since, and I'm still learning a lot uh, every day. So this is not really the most interesting about me, at least the way I see things, because the most important thing that I would like to share to you guys today is that I'm a huge fan of the MCU. So feel yourself greeted from this point. So going to what brings us here, we are going to talk about package today, and inside our package, we have three main topics or three main parts of this talk, which first we are going to see what are packages, and inside this topic, we're going to try to understand what kind of package we have. Spoiler alert, we have two types of packages. And after that, we are going to try to make a live demo so that we can practice what we have trained. And we're going to see how we can publish a package to the pub.dev. I do believe that everyone have used this site. So today we are going to make sure that we learn how to publish one package into pub.dev. And lastly, we're going to have our session of Q&A. So without further ado, we're going to start trying to understand what are packages exactly. So basically, packages are small programs that can be shared as code modules to be attached to our projects independently in an independent form. So basically, what we have here is what we can find in some other web projects with CDN, and the reason I have Flutter in brackets here is exactly because it's not something specific or exclusive to Flutter. So this concept of package we find in another ways has libraries that help us to enhance our project. When we say these are touched independently, it's because it's not part of our code base primarily. So this library will give to our project some features that we need to make the user more comfortable with the app. For example, we can choose to add the camera functionality to our Flutter application. To that, we can use the camera plugin, and also we have the tools that will help us to build better applications or in a faster way. So when we use some packages as block or mobex for state management, we have the easy way to build our architecture with the file system and also auto completion of code. So those are the tools that we use while we are interacting with packages. So in terms of types, we have two, which the first one is packages and plugins. And the first one is kind of misleading because it's the exact name of the topic today. So I call the first one Flutter or Dart packages so that we can understand that we're talking about a type and not the whole topic. So these Flutter or Dart packages are called exactly that because they are written specifically with Dart and or Flutter. I'm saying this because you can write entire packages only with the Dart language or the Flutter, which of course will be using the language Dart. So basically, we have some packages such as the HTTP, package, which is written entirely with pure Dart, and we have other visual packages which are written using Flutter. Basically, we can see a lot of those available for us to use. So when you use Flutter for building your package, you are expecting to achieve something more visual. And also has the second type, we have the package plugins. We saw before that we have the packages, the Flutter Dart package, which are written specifically only with Dart and or Flutter the framework, right? So here we need to have a bit more of knowledge around the platform specific that we want to target, which means that if we need a resource that is specific for Android, we need to know to write code in Kotlin or in Java, depending on how you feel more comfortable. If you want to target iOS, so you need to know a bit of Swift and so on for uh, Windows or web. So here you have to have a bit of knowledge when it comes to method channel, which I won't be doing a deep dive, but you can ask after the talk if you have any doubt about the topic. So you have to know how you're gonna communicate your native site, which is the iOS, Android, web, or uh, the desktop with the Flutter side. So basically, if you want an application that uses the geolocator, of course we have those packages, but if you don't have a package that does what you want with a resource that it's available on a specific platform. For example, one time, once I had this application that used the shake sensor of the phone, so I had to build a code on the native side so that it would send the data to Flutter, and Flutter uh, would send the response to the user according to this data. So basically, you can build a package for that with that knowledge. So knowing these two types, we can now unpack a bit. So we're going to open Android Studio now. I use Open Android Studio, but you can use any other IDE. I have this also on the GitHub, so you can go find the project. So we're going first to create a new project. I have one here, but I will show how you can create a package using Android Studio. So first of all, you're going to create as a new Flutter project, and you're going to select here, instead of application, you're going to put a package. As you can see, you have also the option to select plugin here, so it will give a broader options to write your code. But now we only want the package. If you can see here, the Java Kotlin, it's gone. The options are gone. But if we select here plugin, we see these options. So after that, you build your project normally, and what you're going to find is something like this. So this reminds us something which is the code that we saw in the presentation before, but now it has a package, right? So we do the same as we do if you want to build our own code. Remove this, and we start writing our own our own code. So basically, I want to show you guys how we can write a package that will translate any image that the developer will send to this library, and we will transform that into an animation. So afterwards, we can use as a splash screen. So we are going to use animation, but I won't be explaining very deep into that because our main goal here is to just build the package, show this working on an application, and also publish the package. So first of all, if we want to build the animation, we have to write the code to that, right? So basically, first of all, I will create my stateful class. I will call this image animation. I will import here my material and also put here the center, child, size box. So this size box needs an A, a width, and also we need the child. So here, since I want to use an image, I will use image.asset, and here we will be passing the image, right? So since we want to use animations here, I will create the animation object and the animation controller. So I will create the animation. I have to and also the animation controller. And we have to initialize our animation controller in order to use into the animation so we can give life to this, right? So we're going to do that inside the init state. So here we're going to start with the animation controller, which is animation controller. We have inside the vsync, which is this. We have also the duration. We can put any seconds here that we think is more suitable to the animation. I will just put 3 seconds. And also we have to add the listener here that will be updating the screen as we animate. And since we want to make this continuous animation, we have to check the status and do some actions accordingly. So we're going to add the status listener. And as you can see here, it brings us the status. So we're going to use the if statement here to see that if the status or the animation status is completed or not. And if it's completed, we're going to do the reverse. So we're going to make the animation go from the end to the beginning. So what we're going to do here is to call the animation controller and say reverse. And on the contrary, we will be checking if the status is dismissed. So basically, when the status is dismissed, it means it's on the initial state. So it hasn't started, as you can see. So let me just close here. So I was trying to explain that this means it stopped at the beginning. So it needs to go forward. So basically we're going to make it go forward. So we make it go forward, which means exactly what it says here, goes forward. As we can see here, it goes toward the end. So basically, we have created or we have instantiated the animation controller. With this instantiated, we can also do the same to the animation. So we have some types of animations here. We'll be working with the twin animation. You can check different implementations, but the reason I'm using the twin implementation is because you can iterate two values, so it will make animation back and forth between two values. So as you can see here, we have the begin and we have the end. So after that, you can animate using the animation controller. Great. But now, as you can see, we left some points here without the proper values. That's because, as I say, this is a package, so this data has to be passed as arguments. So I will create these fields here. First of all, we want the image path. And also we want two values of the type double, which the first one will be the first value that we want to be animating and the last value. And we're going to introduce here the image path. And also the last two values. Great. So basically what I want to do here is to make this image path required, even though it doesn't mean it's obligated, the developer is obligated to put this data, but at least it will give him a hint. So this too, I will initiate in my code so it doesn't have to put if it doesn't want. So if the values that initiate here are fine to the developer, so he can use as is. If not, he can just put his values. So here I'm going to put the begin. If it's empty, I will start at 0, and the end, I will just do the same. But if it's empty or null, I will put a different value. And also we have to force this to start right at the beginning, because this is when the animation is already running. So we have to make sure that our animation is starting, right? So we just do it forward here, just in case it stops for some reason. Also, we want to make sure this code is clean and it doesn't leave any junk in our system. So we have to call this post. So this post. And also we can pass here the values. So first of all, we're going to say the height is the animation dot value. It's basically a square, so I'm using the same values. And same here, and here we're going to put image path. So basically this should, we have an error here. This is the vsync. Since we are using this animation, we have to make use of the ticket provider here. So we have to call the single ticket provider state mixing. So yes, and so basically this might be enough for our package, since we want a simple animation that will afterward be used as a display and at the 250. And you can also replace these values from our code. So the question now that comes is how we can test this. So to test a package, first of all, you have to create an application so you can do the test, right? And one of the recommendations that we have is that you create an example, not just to the test, but also for the developers to see how they can implement your package on their own application. So you have one project that has also another project inside. So if you can see here, we have this project here. So to do that, you just do the same as we did before, new Flutter project, but instead of creating on your root project directory, you create under the package. So you have here, you can just put example as we did here, and you also put the application since now you want the application. So I will just cancel this. And here, as you can see, you have the Android and iOS files because this is an application. And here on the main repository, you don't have that because it's a package. So we don't need to interact with the iOS or Android because this is a purely Flutter package, right? So after this, we have this new directory here. We have the lib as usual, and I already have written the are really a way to help the community grow and make sure that we all have these small chunks of code that are shared, but also in an independent way of our own code base. So it has to have some way of trust. So when you go search for this package on pub.dev, you have to see if those packages are really being maintained accordingly to the new versions of Flutter. So when you create your own, you have to also be aware to make sure that those are really maintained. Here in Mozambique, we have a package which is to connect to the M-Pesa API that I happen to be the maintainer of it. So we try to make sure that this is maintained and it's up to date. This is the end of my demo. So we're gonna see now if you have something else to say to the Q&A. Thank you. So guys, there's no any questions.
Nice. Awesome. So, do you have any questions? Any questions from the audience? I can't believe there are no questions. Hi, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
Just the presentation was really amazing.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did a good job with that. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks a lot for showing us how to build packages on Flutter. So it's not just about using Flutter to, create your projects, your web or desktop or mobile projects. You can also take part in adding packages that will be used by, several other devs that would kind of make their job easier. So instead of trying to, go down low level to hard code some effects, you just have to call in your package and use that to, build your apps. Thanks a lot for that interesting talk. So right next on our list is I Samuel joined this call earlier on, but I don't know if he's still on this call because at some point I think he lost his network connection again or something. Hello, is Samuel still on this call? Okay, so I don't think so. So I'll be handing over the stage to Ellis to take us through the project phase. We'll just be building a very basic project, and trust me, there are going to be cash prizes to be won. So we already have the first winner, and don't just allow yourself to be left out in this winning team. So all right, Ellis, I guess you just have to take over the stage and do your thing.
Thank you. Possible. I'm confused. Which one is it? Is it possible or possible?
Gospel. Again, I've got a lot of things running for it. Well, I can change my name to that too.
All right, thank you. Once again, my name is Ellis Fogo. I feel honestly, I feel kind of guilty because I did actually kind of run you guys through how to actually set up Flutter on your PC. But if you go through the official site, which I posted when I was doing my presentation, Flutter.dev, you can find documentation about how to set up Flutter on your PC. So I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen for just a little stuff I want us to do. And the project is just kind of a illustrate what we talked about. So we talked about the stateless and stateful digits. So it's just to illustrate that and for you guys to actually get your hands into actually trying to build something using stateless or stateful digits or a combination of both. So the project is really, really basic, but it's something, the project that is fun. Of course, the project that you can show your little how it works and all that. So the project for, of course, is for everyone. For those that actually have probably already have a folder set up on their device. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen just to kind of illustrate what the project is about. So hopefully you guys can see my screen. So this is just a basic Flutter project. I just created this. I'm just using the main of that file, which of course once you create a new Flutter project, I'll go ahead and do that. But first of all, I'll show you how it looks, which of course you guys have seen from the other presentation, especially presentation for building out Flutter for Mac, I guess. So that really seems like the basic code that comes in once you actually build a Flutter project. So let me go ahead and create my front end. So what you guys can see this. So we just this basically what this is just what the app looks like visually. So we just have a text view and we have two buttons rather that you can use that. Probably once we put the number inside the text view and we click on this, it tells us whether it's an even number or an odd number. So if I change this to 9, it tells me it's an odd number. Of course I can read that. If I hit reset the text that displays what I click on odd goes off and I can actually change the number again and it tells me what I click on odd number. So in the code we just basically just like I can't remember. Sorry, I can't remember the name of my application application. Sorry about that. But just like you explained, we have our main function. Application is going to be method address one. Then of course we call the one app which now mounts our app, which is of course is stateless like I talked about earlier. So that practically everything, almost everything in Flutter is in digits. So I know why I say almost, but we'll get to that in another day. So we have the run app which mounts this is my app here, of course, which has a material app. And we have our own which is like the other speaker explained, which is just the first screen that gets displayed to you. Of course, we can when we go further with Flutter here, you can always just expand on that to kind of the additional system package we have here, like nation, because we do something different here. So then the name of the class is called, or the widget rather is called web page. And what we just have here is stateful widget and stateful included here. So we just have the stateful widget, which of course calls the create states method, which I explained during my talk, which of course creates the state object. So the state object now has multiple states, which we have here. I just what we have here is the text controller. So the text controller is something with the controller will pass to the text field that can help us keep track of the text, the text that the user has inputted into the text field, which of course is what we have here. So we just have then I just So we just have our text controller and we just have this method that I declared. So what it does is story very about that. So basically what we're just doing, we declare the states that the controller will to pass into our text field. And of course we call the display method just to make sure we don't have memory leaks at once that's has been mounted. So of course we will talk about this probably in a later day and different life cycle of the state field. But just know that this is, I believe this should be the last method that is called when the state will be mounted. So, and then we can permissions, like to make sure that we don't have any memory leaks or any like all objects that is not no longer used. Just any resource that we're using up to now, but we're no longer using kind of plates or kind of dispose method. So this is our regular override we have on our view method. Of course, it has context. We now declare our view just like that when I give it up. So we just have the regular scaffold. So the scaffold kind of exposes like we are making use of materials down here. So the scaffold just kind of adheres to that, adheres to the materials and kind of want to make sure if I remove the scaffold now, I see that the coloring of the way the colors and the images are displayed doesn't kind of adhere to the materials. So we just make the scaffold and make sure that we're using the materials. Right? So of course we now have the body where I just create the padding all around the components. Just have a column and just some basic logic. So here this answer is what's actually listed. Like so what we are doing here that we're using conditional rendering. So we are saying that if the answer is empty, which means the text field this text here, we have there's no text here. So just if it's not empty, which means if we have a text, let's say we have certain equal or odd into this variable string variable. So we want to now display this, just want to display text it's value whatever the answer is and some use the size of so now maybe something that vertical spacing between this component, this widget and the next which is our text field. Then the text field of course we pass our controller and just do it into style. And it's all these widgets and all that you can actually find go to API Flutter dev, which of course I'll put on the chat right now API dev. So you can actually build up maybe it has all the whole widgets this thing has a search by way of search maybe all the widgets you want and it has proper documentation so you can get to understand the widgets and every other properties and things you can set up. So so we just have this input format. What it does is just make sure that I can't come into this text field and try to actually put the text. But right now on my keyboard, you can't see my keyboard. I'm trying to put text in, but it can't accept the text. It only accepts numbers, right? So so that is what this is for. Of course, our size box just for basically say we have the row where we now have these two buttons. So like this project, I chose this project which is quite basically just for you guys to kind of get exposed to how to use it kind of because now remember that in this now we are updating these are value of odd. When it shows odd or when it plays or when it shows odd or when it shows even, we're kind of updating it. So this is the property that is not any this object, right? So we are updating it, which is why we needed so you know what I said when I kind of explained stated as this. So the set state, we're kind of what we're doing here, we're just taking the value down. Okay, to start from here, what we are doing, we're just making sure that we're using the controller. Remember the controller will pass into our text field. We're using the controller and we are looking for the text in the controller. And I'm calling the string method, which of course is part of the method that string gives you access to. Like I explained briefly earlier, that's the strongly typed language. So it has six types, we have string, integer, boolean, and the rest. So one this is string, so I'm calling the string method on this. So what the string method does is that it removes spaces, white spaces. For example, now let's say we have the text like Flutter, we have Flutter festival, right? So it is a string. It is a string. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It is a string. So imagine if you have something like this. So what this string does, I want to call string on this string, it's going to remove these extra spaces here. We're going to remove it for us. Extra spaces on the left hand, either on the left or the right hand. That's what it does for us here. So basically what we are doing here, we are just removing extra spaces on that side of the controller, like the text inside the text. So we're not checking whether it's actually a text here. So if it's a text, like this is not going to be something. context, I would say definitely going to be a stream. So what we're just doing now, we're translating into an integer. Of course, you can find out about this when you look at the documentation of that stuff. I believe that stuff there. You guys should be deciding and read about that. Remember, I said that programming language that uses so then we are not calling the set state, just write a little logic, whether that you can or not. Then of course we are setting this object, and so now setting it to that given number. And of course this is the button, so that is the text button. So of course another widget. You can find more about it from the chat. Just a little styling and some set state. Of course, the reset button, what it does, it just resets the answer pattern in this string. Also, it results set that empty string, it resets when the next field gets in. So, manufacture the number, place, set it, and everything gets in. So yeah, so I don't want to show you too much of the code. I just kind of explain it. Of course, there's no any single way to write code, right? So everybody has probably a different way to kind of approach problems. So this is what we're building for this project. So of course, you can create your own spin on it and do whatever you want to do. So because I don't know, that's cool, right? So they can get on building the stuff. So I think that's kind of modified.
Sure, I think that's cool enough.
One thing I can do again is just to kind of show you guys what happens when we building these components, right? So let's just go ahead live now and just create a new Flutter. So if you're using Android Studio, what I don't know exactly the setup on VS Code, if VS Code is using, but basically what I'm building, I'm just going to file new Flutter projects. So yeah, so I'll just keep the SDK Flutter SDK now. So we're actually waiting system by device. So just gonna build this or give them let's say yes. Okay, I just leave that as agitated. I just want to add this. I don't want to be for when something was selected from the rest.
You can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I think I'll just go ahead and start fresh.
I think also it would be nice to show who and who is actually following up the project. I don't know.
Yeah. Please, anyone that wants to do this, I don't know, but I would actually have a lot of sort of pieces. I can't see any. Okay, sorry. If we have someone, Any other person?
Did I mention there's a cash prize going? The person that kind of implements it successfully is going to it.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Did I mention that the person that implements it all successfully is going with a cash prize? Let me see the amount in there.
No, the amount to be huge. All right, I think we have just one person so far. So I don't know. Should I still go ahead and I believe the boilerplate code that comes when you create everything in Flutter there has already been configured, so I don't think I need to go into that again. But if anyone wants like another explanation, that's fine. I'll still explain it. But in absence of that, I think anyone that is interested in the video please go ahead. So any questions, of course, can ask you. Just move over to you.
So we go ahead, or I don't know.
I think we can. It might take probably a couple of minutes, so we can just probably go ahead sorry if I don't get the name, the pronunciation of the name, but the key is premium. Probably when you're done, you just kind of identify something, kind of what you use. That's the thing.
Okay, so Chukwuye, I don't know. Do you want to give a comment? Are you okay building up the whole team by yourself, or do you need guidance? Or okay, he dropped the tech. He said we need guidance.
Right. So probably if, we could actually turn this like into a live coding session if that is all right. So I don't know if that's okay. Then probably I can maybe call you wherever.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. So the thing is, since he's the only one that showed interest, he will be going with the cash then. Yeah, we just have to as what they call Chukuyem and Miriam. Yeah, that's it. Let's just do the live coding session so everyone gets the benefits.
All right. So the live coding session come from me or from the other participants? What do you think?
From Chukuyem, I don't know. Chukuyem, do you want to share your screen? Or I guess you have to share your screen. So Edis can actually guide you setting up and then doing the whole state management. We can't hear you. Are you saying something? So to save our time, please just go ahead and do the whole thing. We need to round up the test to 2 o'clock.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is probably create a new project. So let us call it equal all right, so just let me click my screen. So just like I was explained by our previous speaker, this is just the boilerplate code that comes when you set up Flutter. So let me just go ahead and explain. This is this is this is kind of our later rules. Like I don't know, some of you that might have experience in probably front end development. I believe you can also set up later rules. I think it's ESLint also. So this is just basically a similar stuff to that. For those of you that don't have experience with that, rules are just like guidelines we want to use in our code. So an example could be, let's say when we declare an enum. An enum is kind of if you declare an enum, maybe the values or the properties in the enum we don't want them to be written in all caps or something like that. And set up rules for that. Or an example like it could be print, like if on JavaScript we have console of log, like to log something to the console or to the terminal. So it could be that we don't need logs to be in your production code. So another particular example could be, let's say once you have any logs or print statements, you want to make sure that you notify the developer that let's say notify the developer it should not be there. But the developer is aware that they have to remove it before the code goes to production. So this is where we kind of set up things like that because we have our box YAML file, which is kind of for those of us that have experience with probably I keep referring to JavaScript, but that's not the only one because this is kind of where you kind of declare packages you use. You can declare packages you use either for your app, for the like the functionality of your app, your packages, like what our last speaker talked about. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well, Igor. So he talked about packages. So this is where when this is not that package we built or in this presentation. This is available on public. When you get that package into your project, this is where you actually declare it. Of course, you also have development dependencies, which is dependencies that doesn't ship with your app, right? Just for the development process. So yeah, it just shows the version of the data I'm using. So it's I'm not. I believe it should be version of that. Yeah, it should be version of that. Like so, yeah, I'm using 2.16, and just this is just like a little configuration of the app. If you have some asset files you want to use in your project or custom fonts, of course you can declare most of those stuff here. Probably in another session we'll talk more on this. So I just wanted to just kind of give a little overview of that. So now going to our lib directory, so that is the main directory we're looking from, and that is where our files or that files will go to. So going to our lib directory, of course, we have the main method that we get to make the method that run when this app is mounted on the phone when it works, like when you usually don't use the application. This is where is the entry point, and of course we call the run app, which mounts our one app, which is the person which like I said, it's WhatsApp and this video. So let's just go ahead and launch this app on our lecture. So we're going to replace it so while that is going on, so now we have our material app. Of course, the material app is of course adhering to the material design principle. So of course you can depend on how whether you the company you're working for or whether you guys have your own design system. Of course, you can always like implement your design system. But for the sake of this video, we use the material app, and of course, there's just a little documentation explaining what this is. When it comes to timing your application, of course, this gives you the ability to do that, to tame how the color scheme and everything of the application will be. And of course, you can always add like that to the team. This is what the material app is going to do. So this is just basically the default app and also it's not the right hand. You guys have already seen this in the previous presentation. Just have to look at that. So I'm not going to link that on that too much. So we have, of course, the home. We have the home here, which of course displays first widget, first screen we see on our app. So what we're going to do now is that we're just going to go ahead and hit that. When we hit that, we're going to create another widget ourselves. We'll just call it. Let's just click it on. So we're not even declare this, right? So yes, let's do that here. And use my ID. Of course, those are available on Facebook, but to make things faster while you do, so we have snippets that the ID provides for you can help you to pick the right code. So it's not like for those of us that is HTML, the way you want to write it, doc type or something, there's always kind of a snippet. I think you just write HTML or some first tab and use it up. So the same thing is applicable in a lot of other programming languages, right? So those are applicable here. So I'm just doing that. So what I just want, I want to create a new statement, right? So I just write S. I just wrote S, and of course we can see that it goes infected the record to memory. I don't know what so I'm just going to hit enter and declare my class name as equal or just to match what we have here. So that's completely right there. So if I do that, you see that of course this has not been declared. So that's why it's telling us that you can find some files. So if you go over and see the name or give this into class because we've not declared it yet. Now that we've done that here, you can find the class and mountains here. So what do we want to do? So we just want we need and of course I've explained the stated before. This is a stated the stated widget. So this follows the block of course. This area is immutable, right? So but what gives it the ability to kind of change change update the UI depending on if there's a change from the state object. Remember that this area now on like 27 of our code users. So this is where we are creating our state object. So of course the state object now have an immutable state. So let's just go ahead and create the previous what we have. We need the variable that can hold whether it's an equal or not. So let's declare that variable equal or odd. So we just declare that as a string. So not to go too much into details. Normally, when you declare such variables, you just want those. But in this our excuse me, in this our current context now, we don't actually this the way this is written now is public, right? So normally how we write it is that when we know that just the variable to be only be available for this class. That's how we can put another symbol here to make it private. Why I don't do this is because I believe CPC asks the question that one of the presentation. I don't want to focus on that for now, so I'm just going to keep it to like this. So if you remember when I talked about some common which is used for dimension, column, row, star, text, and the rest. So column basically allows us to lay out widgets effectively. So if you remember, I've removed that. Yeah. So remember, we are laying out this. We are laying it out from top to bottom, right? So we are laying out the widget effectively. So what we are laying out this component is still a widget. So what widget can help us lay out other widgets effectively. You see the way I put that statement, widget that can let us lay out other widgets. During the last speaker talked about one of the speakers, talked about how we have child and children. When you let's say something like this, something like container, you see child. So and when I gave my talk on I talk about the compatibility of how composable Flutter is. You can combine these to kind of examine what you need or form what you need from the different which is that Flutter requires for you or create your custom widget to something like that. So the widget that can help us lay out is basically now our column. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this out container with a column. So and the column accepts children because the column can house more than one widget. So the children means that you can accept enough and lay them out vertically. This is how what helps us clear about the render to the user. So we have a property here called children. So what we want to do, we have to have a text field. We want to have a text field. What we want to have, we want to have two buttons. And don't forget that the widget that can help us lay out other widgets horizontal is what the row. So we're going to have a row, so we're going to have a text field, and we're going to have two buttons. So also, I want us to, for now, what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to put a value here. Just this is temporal. Just put a value to this and keep it on forever. So I also want to display the text widgets. And the value that I want the text to display is this value from the state dot here. So remember that this value is from the state dot, which means it's mutable and change. So we're going to now display that value inside this text widget. I just want to add it to start it. Of course, you can find out more about this using the API of Flutter, which I posted on the channel. We can read up more on the documentation about this widget. So I just want to have a font size of let's just say 40 and the color of I don't know what normally the color should be 40 black, but let's switch it up. Let's move color. So this color, of course, is coming from the material material UI, which of course Flutter is around because we're using the material app here. So it exposes us to the material design principle and how it works. So of course it has color here. And this quickly line is from my linter. So this quickly line is coming from my linter. Remember I talked about the interlude when I talked about the analysis of what we're seeing instead of the interlude, if you remember. So that is where it's coming from. It's telling me that this particular thing I've declared here can actually be a const, which means there's nothing here that we will need to change. So when we are setting our state and this widget is being repeated, it doesn't need to build this again. It can actually cache this data and know that this doesn't change. So when I'm rebuilding this widget, I don't need to build this again. So that's what it const. That's it's for optimization. But you don't really need to it's a topic for another day, but you don't need to really worry about that. Flutter is really fast in the way it handles reviews and all that. Of course, there are other optimization techniques you can adopt. But overall, once your app gets really big, these cons that we're adding here now, you begin to kind of feel the impact because if your app is really big, it can take a while to kind of build some of this. So this is optimization, but I don't want to get into that too much now. So then we have our role, of course, role, remember, just like role, can allow us to align objects in which means we can take can allow us to align widgets horizontally, which means of course we can take the whole number of widgets. So it has children. What we want to do is we want to create a next button, which of course you can read more about the URLs and information as provided. It just has a callback method. It has a callback method on press, which means helps us know when the user has pressed this particular button. So what we want for the text button, so we just want to display the text where the text one displays not that's what the text is, and we're not going to get to that, and because we just want to reset whatever values have been here. So if you notice, I'm always adding a trailing comma. Let me add once to this first. So that's what is quickly live. So if you notice, I'm always adding extra commas here. So what these commas help us with is that it uses the data. I think it's called the data. It's called the data commands. Because it helps us format our codes properly. So a classical example of that is for those of us that are into any other I'm just going to keep the French JavaScript because I also write that. So it's just an example of like a PTI extension that helps us format our code. So that already has that built in. So once I just send it to format code using that trailing format now, I immediately get the process. So let's see what we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and create my devices. So I'm going to just for us not to take that because around, so I will kind of speed up a bit. So this is the view area because let's give it a minute. Guys, all right. So while it's building, I just want to add an extra comma here. So just for you to know, in Flutter, Comma is your friend. So I use Comma to make sure that once hits Comma to code is kind of online. So while that is building, I'm going to go ahead and set up a controller for our text field, right? So we want our text to be able to get the value in the text field. So we're going to set up a controller and we're going to set it up inside the state object. Remember, we're still inside the state object. This area is immutable, of course. So we have our state object here. So I want to set up the text editing controller. I'm going to call it controller. Is equal to text editing controller. Please remember you can read up on this the documentation. So of course I want to this is of course needs to be good so that once this switch is removed from the system, this controller doesn't the instance of this controller doesn't desist. You understand? So we want to make sure that once we are done using it, we can remove it. We kind of dispose of it. Tell what that I'm looking. We're not going to run with this. So we're going to do that here. We can call the dispose method on it because the dispose method comes from the text editing controller. So we're going to pass that controller down here. So we're just now saying this controller is what is going to control this field. Okay, yeah. So controller and the value that the controller holds can change, right? So at some point when we are typing, the value could be 7, depending on what we're typing. So it can't be constant because the value can change. So that is why the value doesn't also be constant. Of course, you can always let me undo that. You can always go back to kind of get what you're complaining about. Say the new value is constant, this is not a constant, but the value can change. So we're going to remove that constant. Then this is
waiting that in the right place.
so all right. So what are we trying to do now? So what we want is once the user types into this text field, right, and hits this button, given on all the buttons. So we want to perform some logic here. What we want to do first is that we want to check, right? We want to check if the controller of text. If we can get the text from the controller, we pass it to the text, so we get the text. The controller dot text dot string. So we remember with the string we're removing the white space in that because we can't control what the user does. You can't control what the user does. So anytime you're writing your code, you need to anticipate the possibility of what the user will do. So we suspect that the user can decide which white spaces for typing. The user might, let's say, if they come up with a key, they give that person space bar on the form and have a space. We are removing that and we're not checking to make sure that it's actually valid content there. Right? So we want to check if it's that the value is not evaluated, the user has actually computed something. So we're going to create a variable now. And create it again. We can create it using the variable type directly. So we want to say, let us call it the value is equal to int max. Remember, you can read about this that you can read about the that programming language. Like I said earlier, this is what I'm using language to pick up in my opinion. So we want to pass that controller .text. So if you notice here we have repetition of code. Of course, this is not the object of what we're trying to do. But we have repetition where we are trimming this here and then trimming this here. What we can do is that we can just do that to the variable called trim value. So we want the controller. So we have that value. We can now use that directly here and also use that here. So we don't have it. So now we've trained that to have the value. So what was have another value with that. Of course, there are 2 means if you when you divide it by 2, that value by 2, it doesn't have the remainder. That's what does this means. That when we divide that 2 can divide this that value with the number without having the remainder. So if that happens, we know that even or odd is equal to even. So they are kind of setting the text for equally. else we want to set the text to be equal to false, right? So hopefully this has been all right. We forgot to do something here, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off. So remember what I said about scaffold earlier. The scaffold helps us to kind of use the material slide actually within our application file. So we don't need to wrap it to the scaffold. I think that should fit the issue. So sorry if I'm a little fast. I'm just trying to pick up the time. Now what we want to do here is we just don't want to check it. Remember, we want to set the state, right? We want to update this value here because we can we want to update this value and put in a new value to this. It will now cause this widget to build a new value of the prompt, like the update object. So what is going to happen when I'm going to move this code up? I'm going to move it into the set state method. Let's move it into the set state method. So that once it has been validated, the value will be updated. So, all right. So we have our UI. Let's just make it a little better. Let's have this save area. If any of these widgets are something you can find out about it within the documentation. So what we want to do now, we just want to center this. Let's center everything. So have it in the center. And of course we can add a little information. Yeah. Whatever. We have so what you just said was how this order around this. So of course it's quickly like just to that this can be a constant, but the value is not going to change. So I'm just formatting the document again. And what wants to do now, let's add padding. Want to add, if you notice this all these are that equation is add a little padding and give it some distance. So what I'm hitting here, I'm just hitting option return on Mac. I believe it's Alt Enter on Windows just for to add wrap this column and allow widgets. And the widget I want to wrap it with is padding. So we have the property of course padding, which can declare the padding is to edge insets. I just give it some extra things around. So also for the row, and also kind of make it center to the main axis of alignment. Main axis, remember, row is horizontal, it aligns things horizontal. So when I say the main axis, it means the axis on the horizontal, like the axis that exists horizontally, which should be the x-axis. So we have to align it to the center, which is what has happened here. And of course, we can add a little bit more style, even though that's not the purpose of this video, but we can add a little information. Spots so I can add it to bottom style. What want to add background color because I read about this documentation. I'm just kind of going through this I'm sorry about that. So let's also make it green, right? Let's make it color. So that is just the text. Let's make the text inside here. Let's change the star and change the text from the text star. So change the color to white. So all these are available in the documentation. So we just change that to white. So we can repeat the same thing. Sorry if I copy and paste. I know it's a little bit confusing when you code is copy and paste. But I've just defined the style here. So I just want to also copy it now here and also copy the new style and add it. So I just want to copy that. So of course I'm formatting code and when I hit dash code dash so what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to create use a size box to kind of give you a vertical spacing. Sorry, a horizontal spacing between the two items, the two buttons. So that should give you a spacing between the two buttons. So let me start it up from the beginning. Start. We have not very few here. So what's going to happen is that we're going to conditionally render this text. So what we want to do is that remember that we have this property which is available in our state object here, which we call equal and odd. What we want to do that is equal and odd, equal and odd. We want to use the ternary operation. The ternary operation is I think it's available to integers when you have this and this, the question mark and the colon. So what it's doing is that it's evaluating this whatever is on the left and what's on the right one. So one to evaluate that if this is not empty, want to display this text. You understand? This is not an empty string. Want to display the text. Else we want to just display that. So a way to achieve that in Flutter is to use size box dot string, which just doesn't display anything and doesn't take up that space. So let's not forget to, of course, in our reset, we click on reset button. We want to consider the text, we want to get the empty again, and even or odd, which is a variable we declared last statement, we want to change it back to an string. So I'm just going to call set state on those and how many right? So let's test what we've done so far. So hopefully the app has reloaded. Yeah. So I can now put specifically the number and it calculates, and of course I can call number. If I hit reset, it goes off, and if I hit another number, I've not created I've not filtered to make sure that the user cannot compute text. So probably I will probably put this up to anyone that wants to practice can pull up the code and probably make for that adjustment. So you can hit it is an even number, try this is an odd number set. So that is it. Sorry if I was too fast. I believe this video is on YouTube, so I will watch it if you need to. So that would be that for this maybe. I hope you guys followed. Yeah, over to you guys.
All right, awesome. Okay, great. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I think all the speakers, it'd be nice to drop your maybe social media info or like however you want every other person to reach you guys. We drop it on the chat for maybe more questions outside of this call. So it's already 2 p.m. I need us to kind of call it a close. So, Chukuyem, I don't know if you were able to follow up and if you were able to come up with something. I can't hear you. I don't know if it's just me, but I can't hear you.
I can't hear you, but you can probably, or whoever the person is, can probably drop something on the chat.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, great. You said you followed. With that, I would like us to, call it a close at this point. I want to really thank everyone that showed up. I want to thank all the great speakers we had today for the wonderful sessions. Please, if I said if you want a cash reward, yeah, Miriam and Chukuyem, please drop your account details on the chat so I could use that to send it out to you. Yeah. That would be all. Is there any question? Is there any contribution before we call it an end of the session?
Yeah, just what I have to say is okay, someone else has a question. Probably I should go to the person ask a question first.
Okay, that's
Can anyone hear me now?
Yeah.
Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
For the text button, if you're trying to use the color dot like color dot green, it's not what you use like material the background color of for the button style text button.
It's, yeah, it's not color, it's colors. But the colors will be have to add a text.
No, like the material button. I didn't get that. After that background color, then semicolon. What did you put next?
Okay. So let me go ahead and just quickly share my screen and show that.
Okay.
So I believe you're talking about. Is it here you're talking about? Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Is it this area highlighted now you're talking about?
I'm not seeing the highlights.
Or this area?
I'm not seeing the highlights. The
Can you
highlights is
see
not.
it? Can you-
Your studio is not showing.
Okay, are you serious? Hold on, let me share my screen again. Right, are you seeing it now?
Yeah, six.
Okay. Is it this area you're talking about?
Yeah, material.
Okay, material state property. Yeah, like that's why when I was talking about it, I kind of referred to the documentation because I know to be a little confusing. This was an update that I believe came with either Flutter 2.5. I'm not quite sure. So this has so many properties you could play with. You understand? For example, if I do foreground color, I can do material dots. Material state property dots. I can kind of do resolve with resolve as. So what this gives you access to is that you can change the color of the button as something happens in the app. You understand? So why I did material state property just is that I don't care about what happens. I just want the color to always be red. So of course you can read up on this, like I said again, in the documentation. Go to api.flutter.dev and search out text button. You kind of see a more detailed explanation of why this is difficult or how to actually go about it. So basically it's just material state properties.org. So you know what? I'm gonna kind of drop it on the chat. Let me just copy this and drop it on the chat. So that's how it looks like. Any other question? I don't know that you got that.
Hello.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for the wonderful presentation. Please, I just want to know. I've been seeing that DART. So, what role does it play in building a Flutter application?
Okay. All right. That's a really good question. So, like I said earlier, Flutter is just a UI toolkit, right? It's just a toolkit UI. So, applications is not just about UI. You need the application to be interactive, right? So you need applications to be able to do something. So the language of choice that Flutter decided to use for that to handle subject very well is that, which is a programming language. It's a static type programming language. One of the beautiful things about that is it provides what we call just in time ahead of time compilation. So what that means in essence is that it helps us to one of the things that one of the selling points of Flutter you see online. They say that Flutter has auto load or auto start. Now, auto load just means that you can make changes to your app, and once you get to auto load, what happens is that the app maintains the app state, but kind of the app state is not lost, right? So whatever update you've made, it's reflected in the UI that is the state of the app. So that's just one of the benefits of that. So the syntax of that is quite similar to what we have in JavaScript or Java, depending on the one you're exposed to. but if you're not exposed to any of them, it's still fine. I believe, personally, I believe it's an easy language to pick up on. So that is when you see that is the language of choice for Flutter. And if you notice, when you talk about Flutter, you see them writing Flutter and that because it's a marriage, it's practically a marriage. It's the dirty to us about like that is marriage, and that's how it works. Hopefully, I answered the question.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. So what I was going to say before the questions dropped in was you guys can of course follow up on the speakers. We follow check their GitHub profiles, check whichever social platform they are active on. So what I'll try to do is I've shared my GitHub name and I think I also shared my Twitter handle. So I'll try and get the code on GitHub, especially for I believe Eduki, if I pronounce the name right. You can get access to the code and probably do the code and maybe play around with it, make some adjustments and try out stuff. So I'll make that code available on GitHub after this call is after we're done with this session, and I'll notify you guys when it's done on the WhatsApp group. So I believe Gospel has provided the link to the WhatsApp group. So please join in so you kind of stay updated with what's going on. Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks a lot again, guys. So Igor, I think you should also drop your social media handle here too, so you can actually follow up. So also right there in the chat, I dropped the social tags and social accounts to tag on your handles. Most especially Twitter. Try to tag these accounts. Try to put out that social tag and tweet or post about what you're able to learn and how you're able to get to learn more about Flutter today. So okay, let me post this WhatsApp group link again. So with that, we would call it a day. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks all these wonderful speakers for the wonderful sessions you gave us today. Yeah, Miriam, I still can't see your account details. So with that, I want to say thank you again, and we hope to put out more interesting sessions around Flutter and Flutter technology. Just do it to join in the chat, the WhatsApp chat group, so we can actually be able to keep you updated on more events and more sessions. Yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll call it a day at this point. Yeah, do have a wonderful day, everyone. Yeah, bye.